Caitlin Clark and some of the other rookies give us that. Obviously, Caitlin, being the headliner. Every city that she's in, I thought it was really cool her senior year of college to see that take hold. It wasn't just the Iowa fans. It wasn't just a sold out harbor. And pace can get you really, really far. And there's great value in that. Pace and passing, I think, are her two greatest things. I know the sexier part is probably the logo 3. We've wanted a player or a league that can, sort of transcend some of these spaces and have a road show.
Picture this, 19,000 fans packed into Target Center, all eyes on one player. Caitlin Clark just smashed a WNBA record that's got everyone talking. But here's the kicker, the coach who once brushed her off is now singing a different tune. What's really going on here? The whole WNBA is a buzz over a bombshell that Cheryl Reeve just dropped. Reeve's most recent remarks regarding rookie star Caitlin Clark are making waves, even after he spent weeks keeping her off the Olympic roster. Why did this hard-charging instructor suddenly become soft-spoken? I would want to ask you for a tiny favor before we continue. Would you kindly take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this content? More than 98% of you see the videos without becoming subscribers. It doesn't cost you anything, but for us, it really matters. Did you then press the subscribe button? Fantastic, I really appreciate it. Let us return to the video. She surprises you with a turn of events just when you believe you have Clark figured out. Imagine missing your first 8 shots in a game. Most inexperienced people would have crumbled, but Clark's next move stunned even her harshest detractors. Is a WNBA legend about to be created? Caitlin Clark's path has been like riding an endless roller coaster, from being left off the Olympic squad to shattering records. Do you recall when she was passed over for Team USA by Cheryl Reeve? Clark, though, used the slight as sheer drive. She is rewriting the rules, not just participating in the game. However, even celebrities have bad days. Clark had a bad start to a recent game, missing her first 8 attempts. The people who were skeptical were practically whispering, maybe she's not all that. But Clark? She dismissed it with a casual shrug. The next event was pure magic from Clark. With a flick of a switch, she finished with 23 points, 8 assists, and 5 rebounds in the game. That's soaring into the stratosphere, not just bouncing back. Adversity seemed to catch her eye and tell her, watch this. Let's talk numbers now, because they tell the truth in the WNBA.
We haven't seen them a lot, I'll say that. What I have seen, and coming into the season, watching her in college, I said the single best thing that she does that young players don't do is she plays at an incredible pace. She became a road show. And I don't know that, and I don't want to slight anybody in college, but I don't remember seeing that in my time. And that's held true. The NBA's had their players that people come to see, right? So when the Wolves sell tickets, there are certain games that they know people are going to come watch certain players.
In a game, Clark averages 17.9 points and 8.3 assists. That is not just excellent for a novice, it is astounding. We're talking about a possible MVP contender here, not just Rookie of the Year territory. And this is where things become really fascinating though. Do you recall the coach Cheryl Reeve, who first rejected Clark from the Olympic team? She's singing a different song now though. Having seen personally the impact that Clark made, Reeve was forced to concede that the youngster had star potential. Not only is Clark winning games, but she's also winning over the league's harshest critics. It seems as though she took that early uncertainty and turned it into the impetus needed to soar to WNBA fame. Everyone is currently rushing to catch up. However, this goes beyond self-validation. The WNBA landscape is being completely upended by Clark's ascension. She's surpassing not just personal bests, but also preconceived notions of what a novice is capable of. Every win, every assist, every three-pointer makes a statement. Clark's uniform represents the future of women's basketball. Consider it, how often does a new player enter the game and have an immediate impact? Not only is Clark filling seats, but she's also transforming the perception of women's basketball. The league is now paying attention to her since she possesses both the abilities and the numbers. Clark is altering perceptions as much as the game. Her biggest fan is now her biggest critic. How did Caitlin Clark make Cheryl Reeve regret what she said? Do you recall when Cheryl Reeve was all about playing down the hoopla surrounding Caitlin Clark? Hold on to your hats, folks, because this is going to get crazy. In less time than Clark can make a three-pointer, Reeve has transformed from a skeptic to an ardent devotee. However, why the abrupt shift in opinion? Let's take a little look back. Not always was Reeve on Team Clark. She was quite outspoken in her displeasure with the amount of attention the youngster was receiving. Clark seemed to be taking the limelight away from the other players in the league. However, something occurred that caused Reeve to completely change his mind. Reeve was left with no choice but to accept the obvious. After witnessing Clark fire up the court, she openly stated, "Everybody knows that the reason why our teams around the league are having sellouts are because Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever are coming to town." That's a strong endorsement rather than merely a praise. But Clark's abilities on the court aren't the only factor. Big things could come from Reeve's change of heart for the whole WNBA. Consider it. For the rest of the league, what does it signify when a tough coach like Reeve is impressed? There are now multiple players involved in this. It has to do with how the WNBA evaluates fresh talent. Clark is shattering barriers rather than just setting records. She's challenging perceptions of what women's basketball is capable of. Reeve went above and beyond simply recognizing Clark's influence on ticket sales. "The league has been building for a watershed moment, and we're here," she declared, throwing caution to the wind. That is very significant, like when Reeve says that Clark isn't simply a fantastic player, but a game changer for the whole athletic industry. What then is the significance of Reeve's compliments? It's easy. You know you're doing something right when someone who has seen it all in the WNBA tells you that you're remarkable. Reeve is not your typical coach. She is in her own right a legend. Her statements are significant, and this is where things become really fascinating though. Not only has Reeve changed his mind about Clark, but he has realized that there is a force that is transforming the WNBA. Not only is Clark filling seats, but she's also transforming the perception of women's basketball. Even the harshest detractors are unable to ignore that. Consider the possible repercussions of this. Who else might Clark be able to influence if she can win Reeve over? Is it possible for more players and coaches to accept this new chapter in women's basketball history? It seems as though Clark has let loose and everyone is rushing to keep up. But let's not get carried away. The WNBA is a challenging league, and Clark is only a rookie. Is she able to sustain this momentum? Will the other participants accept her challenge? Fans, coaches, and players are all on the edge of their seats with these questions. But the talents of a single player aren't what defined this new era. What if I told you that 19,000 spectators filled a venue to watch a WNBA regular season game? That is a game changer, not just a number. Is Clark changing the parameters of what's feasible in women's basketball on her own? With almost 19,000 spectators packed in, the Target Center was humming with excitement. This was a show rather than just another game. And in the middle of everything, Caitlin Clark. Not only is this rookie making waves in the WNBA, but she's also completely changing the way we see the league. Consider it. Every game, the Minnesota Lynx typically draw 7,000 spectators. However, with Clark in the area, that figure almost tripled. She seems to have some sort of magical touch, making every game an occasion not to be missed. Once doubtful of the Clark hype, Cheryl Reeve was now unable to ignore the effect. She openly stated, "Everybody knows that the reason why our teams around the league are having sellouts are because Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever are coming to town." That's an acknowledgement that Clark is altering the game, not just flattery. This is where things become really fascinating though. Clark's squad, the Indiana Fever, isn't even winning the league. They have seats 13 to 16. What then goes wrong? Why are people lining up to watch a losing team? It's easy. Clark is a phenomenon rather than merely a player. She possesses the unique ability to turn every game into an occasion. Clark keeps spectators on the edge of their seats, whether she's giving out jaw-dropping assists or hitting impossible threes. Furthermore, it goes beyond what occurs on the court. The whole WNBA is feeling the effects of Clark. We're talking about heightened media coverage, a buzz on social media following every game, and a level of excitement that's revitalizing the league. Clark's impact is even being compared by some to that of legendary players like Magic Johnson or Larry Bird. These individuals did more than just play hoops. They revolutionized the NBA and elevated it to an international superpower. Is Clark working for the WNBA in a similar capacity? There are indications: sellout crowds, viewership shattering records, a rookie who's surpassing expectations rather than just living up to them. Not only is Clark filling seats, but she's also transforming the perception of women's basketball. But first, let's briefly apply the brakes. The WNBA is a challenging league, and Clark is only a rookie. Is she able to maintain this momentum? Will other players rise to the same level of celebrity as her? Fans, coaches, and players are always on the lookout for answers to these issues. There's no denying implying that the WNBA is gonna have an entertaining ride. We may be seeing the beginning of a new era in women's basketball, with Clark leading the way and receiving accolades even from the most critical of audiences. Consider the impact that ripples have. In what way may Clark's ability to attract 19,000 spectators to a regular season game impact the playoffs, for titles, for the league's overall future? It's no longer simply about Clark. It has to do with what she stands for: a fresh start for women's basketball, a period in which the WNBA is a major event rather than merely an afterthought, where each game is essential viewing and each player has the ability to become a superstar. The real sting, though, is that Clark's accomplishment benefits more than simply the WNBA or even herself. It's beneficial for basketball in general. It's pushing the envelope of what's feasible, motivating a fresh batch of athletes, and demonstrating that excellent basketball, male or female,